I'm a big fan of Strava and I have a mild masochistic preference for riding up the hills. I've always been fascinated by the classifications given to the climbs all along the routes of the professional Grand Tours. The sight of one or more Oars category climbs on the route profile means I'll have to clear my schedule for an afternoon spent glued to the television. But how do the climb classifications seen in the Tour de France or in the Giro compare to those that appear on my recently completed Strava route? Well, I wanted to find out. I did the research, I did a little bit of light Googling, and I'm going to tell you what I found out. Hi, I'm Monty. I make videos about road cycling for mammals. If you ride for fun, fitness and other fandango, then please remember to push the like button to feed the YouTube beast and get back to the video. The concept of categorizing climbs was introduced to make the mountain points system more reflective of the relative difficulty of each ascent. From 1933, when the Tour de France mountain points jersey was introduced, through to 1947, riders were simply given the same amount of points, so 10 for the first rider over the top of the climb, down to 1 for the 10th placed rider. The length or gradient of the climbs made no difference to the points awarded. From 1947, climbs started to be graded by difficulty, with 2 categories introduced initially, rising to the present day 5. The awarding of mountain points were adjusted accordingly, i.e. fewer points were awarded to riders cresting the easier climbs. So how do climb classifications work in general? Well, as mentioned, the Tour de France has 5 classifications, from the top Oars category, HC, the hardest, through 1, 2, 3 and 4, with 4 being the easiest. The Giro and Vuelta have their equivalents. Oars category, a French term which I am mangling as every good Yorkshireman should, translates to beyond classification. It's the catch-all term for every climb that is more difficult than a category 1. Cycling folklore has it that the Tour climb classifications were based on the gear that a Citroën 2CV driven by Henri Desgrange, the founder, would need to be in order to make it up the climb. Therefore, an HC climb is one that a Citroën 2CV simply wouldn't be able to get up. I'm afraid this is Alpine legend, there is no truth in the story, but the HC classification is certainly a form of Tour branding, with the organisers emphasising the superhuman feats of cycling strength that the professionals have to go to in order to get up these sorts of climbs. Whilst apparently Tour organisers do partially use a formula to help determine climb classifications, this is not widely publicised. Broadly speaking, the longer a climb is and the steeper the gradient, the harder the climb is deemed to be, and it is graded accordingly. Overlaying this, race organisers look at when and where a climb is in a race and adjust the climb classification to reflect this. What might be set as a category 1 climb if it's the first col of the day could become an HC climb if it's a mountaintop finish at the end of a grueling alpine stage. So how does Strava classify climbs? Well, it uses the same nomenclature, HC 1, 2, 3, as the professional cycling world. But Strava doesn't have a cohort of elderly Frenchmen determining the climb classifications of every single ascent around the world. Instead, a bit like the Tour de France, it uses a formula. Unlike the Tour organisers, Strava is very open about their formula. There's a post on their website that sets it out in detail. In short then, here it is. The length of the climb, measured in metres, is multiplied by the gradient, measured in percent. If the resulting number is above 8,000, then the climb is classified according to the following scale. 8,000 or greater, category 4. 16,000 or greater, category 3. 32,000 or greater, category 2. 64,000 or greater, category 1. 80,000 or greater, Oars category pelvic. For maths purists or pedants, as we like to call ourselves, Strava is a bit imprecise as to whether it's a greater than or equal sign. I doubt it makes a great deal of difference. Of more relevance is probably the terrain data that Strava is using in order to make the calculations. A Strava segment, whether that's a full climb on a route or only a portion on it, will automatically receive a climb classification if it meets the the required criteria. Now, it used to be that if you were cycling a route without defined segments and you happened to ride up a classified climb, then Strava would create a segment for it. Now, I don't know if this is the case anymore, but to be honest, the number of undefined routes on Strava are probably quite few and far between, so probably not one to worry about. Now, this video is based on a blog post which I originally wrote some 7 years ago and have updated since. Interestingly, not interestingly, based on what I wrote as a wee nipper, it seems that Strava used to have a requirement that a climb must have a minimum gradient of 3% in order to qualify as such, brackets, a climb. Now, it seems that that requirement has disappeared from the Strava post on the subject, so I don't know if it applies anymore. Now, if you've ridden a 16-kilometer climb at a 2% gradient and had it classified as a category 4 climb, then please do let me know in the comments, and whilst you're at it, remember to smash the like button. Going back to professional cycling, as I plan to do at the end of my next big block of training, the key distinction between Strava and the Tour de France in terms of determining climb classifications is that Strava does not take account of where the climb occurred in your route. A Strava Cat 3 climb is a Cat 3 climb whether you ride it straight out of the gate or after a long hard day in the saddle. There is no way that your local Cat 4 col can be classified as an HC climb simply because you are fucking knackered. For me, I really like the climb classification feature in Strava, less so for my local area. It has its fair share of climbs. Many of them are steep, but most are in the category 3 and 4 classifications. But there is a thrill when I'm on a foreign training camp family holiday that I've conveniently arranged to be in Mallorca to tackle and hopefully conquer the Cat 1 Sacalobra climb and then be able to brag about it on Strava to all my mates. Okay, the one friend that has a passing interest. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video, hope you found it useful. If you did, then please do hit the subscribe button. I've been Monty, this is Sportive Cyclist, the mammal channel, and I'll see you in the next video.